Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt a strange disconnect, as if the face staring back at you didn't quite belong to who you truly are? That quiet realization, that flicker of awareness beneath the passing of years, is the beginning of understanding what Alan Watts meant when he said that the soul doesn't age. The body changes, skin folds, hair grays, bones slow. Yet within, something timeless watches it all, untouched by the clock. It's as if there's a silent observer living through the illusion of time, calmly witnessing the grand theater of life. Watts often reminded us that we are not the roles we play, nor the masks we wear. You are not your profession, your name, your memories, or your years. You are the consciousness experiencing them. The same eternal awareness that looked through your eyes as a child and now observes the same world through the weathered face of adulthood. The mistake of our age is believing we are the body, the identity, the number of birthdays, when in truth, those are but ripples on the surface of an infinite sea. Imagine time as a dance, not a straight line dragging you toward decay, but a rhythm that lets the universe express itself through countless forms. To Watts, growing older wasn't about loss, but about participation in this cosmic movement. The leaves fall not because they are dying, but because they are making room for spring. Likewise, every wrinkle, every scar, every line drawn on the body is the universe etching its art upon your temporary form. The soul, untouched and radiant, simply watches, forever young. When you stop fighting time, you begin to see that aging isn't something happening to you. It's something happening through you. The body is a story unfolding, and you are both the storyteller and the listener. The years may change your outer shape, but your essence remains as vast as ever, untouched by time, unchanged by the seasons. The one who witnesses never ages. And perhaps that's what Watts wanted us to remember most. That beneath all our fears of getting old or losing beauty lies an eternal consciousness, still glowing, still alive, still here. The soul doesn't count birthdays. It only dances. If we listen closely to the voice beneath our thoughts, we begin to perceive the timeless rhythm that Watts so often spoke of. He believed that life was not a journey with a start and an end, but rather a melody, one that we are meant to dance to, not to chase toward some distant conclusion. In this melody, the soul remains ever the same, while the body plays the shifting notes. When we identify too deeply with form, with youth, with appearance, we miss the music itself. The soul watches patiently, waiting for us to remember the song that was never born and will never die. Watts invited us to see the illusion of time as a trick of perception, a curtain that hides eternity in plain sight. He used to say that the present moment is the only reality that truly exists, and that everything else is memory or imagination. The body, bound by years, lives in the story of time. But the soul exists beyond stories. It dwells in the eternal now, untouched, unmeasured. Every time we lose ourselves in a sunset, a piece of music, or the face of someone we love, we catch a glimpse of that timeless self, the one that never grows old. Think about it. You've lived through countless versions of yourself. The child who once chased butterflies, the teenager filled with confusion, the adult burdened by responsibility. They all feel like echoes of who you are today. And yet, something has remained constant through it all. The same awareness that watched your first sunrise still watches the world today. It is this awareness that Watts described as your true nature, not the changing form, but the unchanging witness. The body transforms, the soul observes. To Watts, the tragedy of modern life lies in our obsession with permanence, our desperate attempt to freeze what was never meant to be still. We treat aging as an enemy, time as a thief, when in truth, they are both parts of the same dance. The body's decline is not the death of life, but the unfolding of it. The soul is like the sky, vast and open, while the clouds of time pass briefly through. The mistake is believing we are the clouds, rather than the space that holds them. And when we realize this, something extraordinary happens. Fear dissolves. The fear of aging, of loss, of death, it begins to fade, replaced by a serene awareness that you are never the thing that could be lost. The body will age, yes, The mind will slow, memories will blur, but the consciousness behind them remains luminous. Watts urged us to awaken to this realization, to see ourselves as the eternal presence behind every changing form. To him, enlightenment wasn't about becoming something new. It was about remembering what we've always been. Watts often compared life to a dream, vivid, emotional, sometimes chaotic, but always fleeting. He said that if we could understand the dreamlike nature of reality, we would stop clinging to it with such desperation. Imagine your life as a play on a grand stage. The body is your costume, the mind is your script, but the soul is the actor. And when the play ends, the actor doesn't die. He simply takes off the mask, smiles, and steps into the next role. That's why Watts reminded us not to fear endings, because endings are simply beginnings seen from another angle. When we see life this way, aging becomes a form of art, a visible record of time's gentle touch. Wrinkles are not flaws. They're the etchings of laughter, sorrow, and wisdom. Every mark on the skin is a note in your symphony, proof that you have lived deeply. Watts believed that beauty was not found in youth, but in presence, in the ability to be fully alive, fully here, regardless of the body's state. He would say, "The meaning of life is just to be alive. Nothing more, nothing less." But the world conditions us to chase after illusions. Eternal youth, endless success, lasting recognition. Watts warned that such pursuits only deepen our suffering because they are rooted in the belief that we are incomplete. The truth, he said, is that we are already whole. You don't need to become something else to find peace. You only need to stop running from yourself. The soul doesn't need fixing. It only needs remembering. And when you remember, life begins to feel lighter. You start laughing at the seriousness of things, at the anxiety over years, the dread of change, the obsession with control. You begin to flow, like water finding its path effortlessly. Watts called this the wisdom of insecurity, the realization that security is an illusion, and freedom lies in embracing uncertainty. The soul is fearless because it knows that nothing real can ever be lost. So, as the body moves through time, the soul stands still, smiling, observing, learning. And in that stillness, we find peace. The world may change its colors 1,000 times, but the essence within you remains the same light. Watts taught that the greatest act of awakening is to see through the play and still love it completely. To be fully human while remembering that, deep down, you are something infinite, timeless, and beautifully unafraid. Alan Watts often said that the problem isn't that we grow old, it's that we forget what we truly are. We become so entangled with the ticking of clocks, the counting of birthdays, the fading of youth, that we lose sight of the eternal watcher behind it all. He compared this to mistaking the waves for the ocean itself. The body, with its changes, is just the wave rising and falling. But the soul is the vast ocean, deep, endless, and untouched by the storms above. You may watch 1,000 waves come and go, but the water remains the same. When you grasp this, you begin to live differently. You stop chasing the illusion of permanence and start participating in the beauty of change. Watts believed that true wisdom lies in surrender, allowing life to move as it will, without resistance. The body will age, the seasons will shift, and everything you own will someday belong to the wind. But none of this is a tragedy. It's simply the universe continuing its dance, while your soul observes it all with quiet joy. He would often say that trying to stop time is like trying to hold your breath forever. You can only live by letting go. Every moment must pass for the next to arrive, and in that rhythm lies the secret of existence. We breathe in, we breathe out. We are born, we die, and yet, something eternal remains between those breaths, an awareness that never ceases. Watts called this the eternal now, the space where the soul exists, where time cannot reach. It is in this space that we rediscover peace. When you stop identifying with the body and start recognizing yourself as the awareness behind it, the fear of aging dissolves. You no longer see yourself as someone moving toward an end, but as consciousness flowing through different expressions. The child you once were, the adult you are now, the elder you will become. They are all masks worn by the same unchanging light. And so, the beauty of aging, in Watts's view, is not about preservation. It's about revelation. Every passing year peels away another illusion until only truth remains. The body weakens, but the light grows stronger. What fades in appearance deepens in essence. The soul doesn't age because it was never born. It simply is pure presence, infinite awareness, watching itself dance through time. Watts often spoke of the futility of trying to become something, because the more we try to become, the further we drift from simply being. The chase for eternal youth, for identity, for meaning, blinds us to the truth that we already are what we seek. The soul doesn't need to achieve enlightenment. It is enlightenment. The effort itself creates the illusion of separation. Watts compared this to a dog chasing its own tail, endlessly spinning, not realizing it's already whole. He believed that liberation comes from relaxation, from the deep realization that there is nothing to fix, nothing to chase, and nothing to fear. The soul doesn't rush. It doesn't cling. It flows. And when you begin to see through the illusion of time, you also begin to see through the illusion of control. You stop trying to force the river and learn to float with it. Aging then becomes not a punishment, but a privilege, proof that you've been given the chance to witness life in all its stages. Watts loved paradoxes because they reveal the limits of thought. He would say that life is both temporary and eternal, real and dreamlike, tragic and beautiful, all at once. When we accept both sides of the paradox, we become free. Aging is painful only when we resist it. Death is terrifying only when we deny it. But when we see that the self behind experience is eternal, then even death becomes just another costume change in the cosmic theater. Imagine a candle lighting another candle. The flame passes, yet nothing is lost. The fire continues, just in a new form. This is how Watts described the continuity of the soul, the transformation of energy, not its destruction. The soul doesn't grow old. It evolves its expression. The body fades, but the essence moves on, carrying the memory of being alive in every flicker of awareness. So, when we look at aging through his eyes, we no longer see decay. We see transcendence. The wrinkles, the slow steps, the quiet reflection, all of it becomes sacred. It's the universe folding back into itself, whispering, "You were never the mask you wore." And as that truth sinks in, fear gives way to wonder. Because behind every ending, the soul smiles, knowing that it was never bound by time to begin with. Alan Watts often reminded his listeners that our greatest suffering comes not from aging itself, but from our refusal to accept it. We live in a world obsessed with beginnings, youth, vitality, progress, while turning away from endings, as if decay were an insult to existence. But Watts saw endings as sacred. He said, "The meaning of life is not to cling, but to let go. The blossom falls not because it has failed, but because its beauty has completed its purpose." Likewise, the body's aging is not a tragedy. It is fulfillment. It is the soul's way of completing a verse in the song of being. He described this realization as the art of dying gracefully, though not in the literal sense of death, but in the daily art of release. Every day, something ends, a thought, a feeling, a moment, and yet we resist, trying to capture what can never be held. Watts urged us to embrace impermanence not as loss, but as liberation. When we accept that every form must fade, we begin to see the miracle of existence itself, that we are both the dancer and the dance, the ocean and the wave, the eternal watching the temporary unfold. In his talks, Watts often laughed when people spoke of preserving youth. He said, "You can't hold on to water. The more you grasp it, the faster it slips away." The same is true of time. The tighter we cling to our youth, our beauty, our past, the more we miss the radiance of the present. To live fully, we must learn to die to each moment, to let every version of ourselves dissolve into the next, trusting that what we are losing is not who we are. The soul, untouched by decay, remains steady through it all. Watts also believed that our fear of aging reveals a deeper misunderstanding, the idea that life is a race towards something better. But he insisted there is no finish line. Life is not a problem to be solved or a ladder to be climbed. It is a dance, and each step, from birth to death, is equally sacred. When we stop striving for permanence, we awaken to the perfection of what already is. The soul doesn't crave eternity, because it is eternity, wearing the costume of time for a little while. And so, when the body begins to change, the wise do not mourn. They smile, because every wrinkle is proof that they have felt deeply, loved fiercely, and lived fully. Watts would say that to age consciously is to honor the rhythm of the cosmos, to allow yourself to become part of the music rather than the listener trying to control the song. For the soul, there is no before or after. There is only the dance. Watts often spoke of awakening as remembering what you already know. Deep down, you've always felt it, that quiet awareness behind your eyes, untouched by time, unchanged by the storms of life. When you were a child, you felt it in play. When you grew older, you glimpsed it in moments of stillness, love, or wonder. It has always been there, that sense of I am beyond any name or story. Watts called it the eternal witness, the consciousness that observes both joy and sorrow, yet remains unshaken by either. He believed that aging gives us the chance to see this truth more clearly, because as the body weakens, the illusion of control fades. The ego, that noisy voice that insists it must be someone, begins to quiet down, and beneath it, something vast and peaceful begins to emerge. The irony, Watts said, is that the closer we move toward death, the more alive we truly become. For it is only when we stop fighting impermanence that we taste the eternal. He would often tell his audience to stop trying to hold on to life and instead feel it. He compared it to music. We don't listen to a song just for its ending. We enjoy every note along the way. Life, in his view, works the same. Each stage has its melody, childhood's curiosity, adulthood's passion, old age's wisdom, and the soul delights in every variation. The tragedy isn't that life changes, it's that we forget to listen. When you truly listen, time softens. The lines between past, present, and future begin to blur, and what remains is a vast awareness. The soul, watching it all unfold. Watts saw this as the ultimate peace. To live as though you are both the actor and the audience, fully immersed yet quietly aware that it's all a grand performance. In that awareness, even aging becomes beautiful, because you no longer resist it. You witness it. And this witnessing, he said, is the closest thing to immortality we can experience while alive. For the soul doesn't need to be remembered. It simply is. It doesn't measure time. It measures presence. And in that presence, the body may age, but the spirit grows luminous. The more you let go, the more you realize that nothing real was ever lost. It was only transforming, shifting, returning to the infinite rhythm from which it came. Alan Watts often invited us to question a simple but profound illusion, that we possess life. You do not live your life, he said. You are life. This distinction changes everything. When we believe that we have a life, we cling to it, protect it, and fear losing it. But when we realize that we are life itself, flowing and transforming through infinite forms, the fear dissolves. The body may age, but the current that animates it is timeless. Watts compared it to a wave rising and falling. It has a shape for a moment, but it's never separate from the ocean. You are that ocean, pretending for a while to be a wave. He urged us to see that time, too, is not something moving forward. It's a constant unfolding of now. The future never arrives. The past never returns. And yet we exist within the eternal present. The soul lives here, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in this infinite moment. The body experiences the illusion of movement, but consciousness remains still, like a mountain unmoved by passing clouds. Watts would say that enlightenment is simply the recognition of this stillness, the awakening to the truth that nothing real is ever lost. As we age, we often mourn the person we once were. We look back at photographs and feel nostalgia, maybe even grief, for the face we used to see. But Watts would smile at that sorrow and say, The person you mourn never truly existed. Because the self is not a fixed thing. It's a process, a performance, a flowing river. Every second, the universe recreates you anew. The body changes, the thoughts shift, the memories fade, but the awareness that witnesses all this, that quiet watcher, remains untouched. This is why what's considered old age not as decline, but as refinement. He believed that when the outer layers fall away, ambition, vanity, illusion, what remains is pure being. You no longer need to prove anything, achieve anything, or hold on to anything. The river of existence carries you effortlessly. The body becomes a vessel of wisdom, the face a reflection of stories lived and lessons learned. The soul, no longer burdened by the noise of becoming, rests in its natural peace. And in that peace, you begin to see life as it truly is, a play of light and shadow, joy and sorrow, creation and dissolution, all happening at once. The body may tremble, but the soul dances. The years may pass, but the essence within smiles with the same wonder it had at birth. What's wanted us to feel that eternal youth? Not the youth of the body, but the freshness of awareness, the ageless joy of simply being alive. To Alan Watts, the wisdom of aging was not in holding on, but in dissolving beautifully, like a wave that knows it will soon return to the sea. He believed that when we stop fighting impermanence, we discover something deeper than permanence, peace. We realize that death is not an interruption, but a continuation, the next verse in an endless cosmic song. The soul doesn't die because it never began. It only shifts form, the way music moves from one note to another. He would say that our deepest fear, the fear of losing ourselves, is based on a misunderstanding. You cannot lose what you never owned. The self we try so hard to preserve is just a story, a temporary costume. The truth of who you are is the awareness behind it, the silence before the words, the space between the breaths. That awareness doesn't fade, it merely changes its scenery. To Watts, dying was like waking from a dream, not an end, but a gentle return home. He often used the metaphor of the ocean and the drop. When a drop of water falls back into the sea, it doesn't cease to exist, it becomes the sea again. The soul, he said, does the same. When the body ends, the illusion of separation dissolves, and what remains is the infinite, unbroken consciousness that has always been. The body is born, lives, and dies within time. The soul only watches, serene, ageless, free. So when the mirror begins to change, when your hands tremble, when your breath slows, what would whisper? This too is the dance. The same force that painted your youth now paints your aging. Both are divine. Both are sacred. The soul doesn't mourn the changing face. It celebrates the play of forms through which it experiences itself. Every moment, from your first cry to your final sigh, is the universe discovering itself anew through you. And if you truly understand this, not as theory, but as direct experience, you find the ultimate freedom. The fear of time vanishes, the weight of identity dissolves, and what remains is the pure joy of being. The soul doesn't age because it never lives in time. Time lives within it. The body is the story. The soul is the silence behind the story, eternal, infinite, forever young. As the words of Alan Watts echo softly in your mind, you might begin to sense that life has never really been about gaining or losing. It has always been about experiencing. The body, with all its changes, is simply the vessel through which consciousness explores itself. What ages is the form, not the essence. What fades is the mask, not the face behind it. To see this clearly is to awaken, to realize that you are never the one moving through time, but the timeless presence in which time moves. The soul, silent and eternal, has never known decay. Every line drawn on your skin, every scar, every tremor, is the universe signing its masterpiece. Watts would say that beauty lies not in resisting age, but in embracing it, in allowing the story to unfold without fear of its ending. The truth is, nothing real can be lost. The laughter, the love, the moments of wonder, they all live on in the great field of consciousness. To age is to return slowly to that field, to dissolve gently back into the infinity from which you came. Perhaps the most powerful realization of all is that you have never been separate from that infinity. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, momentarily aware of itself as a human being. When you look in the mirror and see the years reflected in your eyes, remember, those eyes have seen countless versions of the world, yet the awareness behind them remains the same. The soul has never changed, only its scenery has. That is the quiet miracle of existence. So as you go on, don't mourn the passing of time. Celebrate it. Let the years carve their wisdom into you. Let the seasons of your life unfold with grace, for they are the rhythm of the divine playing through you. Watts taught that the secret to peace is to stop clinging and start dancing, to let life move through you without resistance, without fear. And when you finally understand that the dancer and the dance are one, aging no longer feels like loss, but liberation. And if this reflection has stirred something within you, that small spark of timeless awareness, let it stay with you. Share your thoughts below. Your story might awaken another. Subscribe to the channel so you can keep journeying deeper into these ideas, not to find answers, but to remember what you've always known. And if this message touched you, leave a like, not for the algorithm, but as a simple act of gratitude for this fleeting, beautiful dance we call life.